And I was the first one in my class to get a job. Yeah.
As a professional.
As a professional. And I had not even graduated yet. And no one in the class had gotten to that point of graduating yet. They were about to. They were a few days from graduating. Don't get too comfortable with what you are doing. Once you've learned a skill, once you feel that you're at a point where you have mastered it, get to a point where you get tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Start to think, what else is there for me to learn? What else can I venture out and see myself learning and becoming more valuable, right? And it's easy to say that, you know what, I want to earn this amount of money, I want to have this kind of things and so forth. It's very easy to say that.
Greetings everyone, welcome back to EduKnowledge Exchange podcast. Today in studio we have a dental technician and his name is Calvin Bunu. You're welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Greetings to you too, and greetings to all your viewers.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, the pleasure is ours. So, sir, tell us more about what is dental technology, or what is being a dental technician, and what does it entail, since we are lost?
What is not dental technology? Well, firstly, most people, they confuse us for dentists, right?
Okay.
So basically, dental technology, to put it this way, we're the guys that does all the hard labor. I'm sure if there's a dentist watching out there, he or she is probably laughing. We are the guys that make them look good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you guys make them look good?
If you visit your conventional dentist, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say for instance, you went there to have your like a denture or something like that. We are the guys that actually does the dentures, that make the dentures. Anything that goes into your mouth, mm-hmm. be it a retainer, a gum guard, anything that goes into your mouth, we make them. So the dentists, what they do is that they take an impression of your mouth. And in the olden days, there's still some dentists that still do it. They take an actual impression. Mm-hmm. They mix what you call alginate material or impression material. Mm-hmm. They mix it up together with water, and then it forms almost like a paste, right? And once that powder and water mix together, there's a reaction that forms. And once it goes in your mouth, it sets. So the dentist has to keep it there for a couple of minutes, okay, right? And then once it sets, they take it out and it takes the exact record of your mouth. Okay. And they send it to us, and then we pour because that whole thing is called an impression. So we pour a model, right? And then after we've poured the model, mm-hmm. and then we just design a denture from that. Okay. And we send it back to the dentist, and the dentist fits it into the patient's mouth. Oh, yes.
Okay. I see what you're saying. You guys do the hard work, but I'm sure the dentist also does something. He's got to get some credit.
Yeah. The dentists, we see them as our clients, right?
Oh.
So we basically are working for them. Mm. So we really rely mostly on the dentist to do a very good job.
So that you guys' job is also good.
So that our job is also good. Okay. You get it?
Yeah. So if the dentist does something wrong, then obviously you guys' job is not going to be perfect.
But hey, the dentists never do anything wrong.
Really? So you guys are always the wrong one.
So we're always at fault. And we're more than happy to take the blame at any day.
Really?
So it's unfortunate. But
I see you guys following the supermarket principle that customer is the king.
We have to make the customer happy at all times. Because at any given moment, the dentist can step out and mm-hmm. go to another guy that's waiting in line. Obviously. That's why we have to keep our work at optimum best.
The job market is very tight.
It's very, very tight.
These guys take their job seriously.
We do. We cannot lack at any given moment.
Oh, that is good.
Yes,
that is good.
Yes.
it's good that you guys strive to be, the best or good at what you're doing. Because not everybody does that. And I feel like if you're working or if you decide to do a job, especially that kind of job where people really rely on what you do, then you have to be somewhat perfect or perfectionist so that we get the best out of you. Don't you agree?
Yes. That's how we always strive for. We always strive for perfectionists and to be like, I'm speaking of myself now. I've always tried to be a perfectionist. Even when I was learning the craft, there were times when they would say, oh, you know what? This thing that you did, it's not to our liking. This will be the lecturer now. And I'll say, okay, thank you for telling me that. I'll take whatever item it is. I take it back to my desk. And what I do is I'll just completely disregard this thing that I've formed and make a completely new one. Yeah, and that's how I was able to perfect my craft.
Oh, that is
in
so
a way.
Good. That is so good.
I'm not perfect though yet, but
you're
perfecting.
Working towards perfection.
Yes.
And it's not easy. I know that journey is never easy. So tell us about, your university experience coming from high school and transitioning into university. How was the whole experience?
Oh, to tell you the truth, I've not had a very pleasant experience. Firstly, as a student, I'm a person that I'm not from South Africa originally, right? So being integrated into the South African system, that was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So coming from, let me start off with high school. So, I mean, I spent my whole high school career here in South Africa. I've done my whole from grade 8 up until grade 12. I attended a school called Lentegeur High, and it's in Mitchells Plain. And that's one of the toughest schools one can find. And I remember as a grade 8 student, and back then I was the shortest in my class. So I'm walking, going to school, and I see this was weird to me back then. I see all these school students dressed in school uniform, smoking, and I found it weird.
You're like,
I'm thinking, what's going on here?
Isn't smoking for big people?
Exactly. And I'm thinking, do I have to end up doing this for me to fit in a school like this? But in any case, life carried on. Life went on. And also I remember I used to be ridiculed a lot about my shoes, the shoes I wore. By the way, the shoes I wore back then, I wanted church shoes, right? And my parents, they didn't want to buy me church shoes. So I decided, okay, you know what? If I tell them to buy me pointed shoes, I can use the shoes
for
since
church.
They're black. I can use them. Yeah, you get the point. I can use them for church and I can use them for school at the same time, right? And that's what I ended up doing. I took those, and then my parents, they were like, okay, I mean, it's going to work for them. Yeah, they eating 2 birds with 1 stone. And they bought me the church shoes, pointed shoes.
Okay.
And then I started wearing those shoes to school.
Yo, guy.
Man, I tell
in the hallway, clang, clang.
I tell you, the guys there at school, they're fun. They're fun and laughing at those shoes. The first few days, it was tough. But I realized, you know what? I knew why I wanted the shoes. So I might as well just deal with all the laughter and so forth. And it worked out for me. It worked out. And I realized that they only laughed at me for the first few months. After that, they
got
knew
used
me.
To it.
Yeah. And it was so nice because when it came to sports days, we used to go to sports days and so forth. And there at sports days, I mean, you can't be running with your school shoes, right? And that's where a lot of people's shoes used to be stolen. And the others, they had to write names on the shoes.
But your shoes.
But mine,
never.
I didn't even need to worry. No one was gonna even steal those church shoes. So I was safe. I was safe in a way. Long story short, I got through varsity. I got through
high school.
Through high school, and then I took a gap year, right?
For going into university.
And why
did you take a gap year?
Firstly, I mean, it was for financial reasons. I couldn't find a bursary. And the other thing as well is that I had to sort out my own finances in terms of varsity. Man, I tell you, being a foreign student, it's
not easy. I know.
It's not for the faint-hearted. And I took a gap year. And then in my gap year, I told myself, okay, you know what? It's not a year of resting, but it's a year of gathering finances, you know, just and gathering here and there. And what I did is in my gap year, I took up a job as a waiter. I took up this job as a waiter and started doing the waitering and so forth. And then somewhere along the line in my waitering journey, I decided, okay, you know what? I've had enough of waitering. That one gap year, it was the longest year. I experienced a lot of industry in that one year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the waitering, there was this foundation that approached me. They say that they're launching a home-based care, but they were lacking in men. They didn't have much males doing the home-based care. And then I decided, okay, you know what? Why not? I'll give it a try, right? And they gave me a 3-month course. So we went and we first did the actual assessment, sitting in class, writing exams, and then leading up into the more fun side, practical side. And then when I got to the practical side, I got there and man, it was not easy. So I realized that I can actually I had an option of doing the day shifts or the night shifts. Yeah. Then I decided, you know what, since I left my job on a good note, maybe I can do this on doing the night shift and then go back to my day job. And then I spoke to them, I spoke to them and said, you know what, I prefer working night shift because I still need the money. Then I can be working during the day and then come to you guys during the night. Then they asked me, are you sure you can do this? I said, yeah, sure, I can do it. I'm young and I had the energy. Okay. And then they agreed. And I went back to my previous job. And then when I explained to them, I presented the whole idea to them. The idea seemed fantastic to me. I'm like, this is a great idea. Only for them to turn me down. I said, okay, okay, it's cool.
Should have given you a chance.
Yeah, I said, it's cool, but it's your loss. In any case, I continued with a night shift at the home-based care. It was tough, but on a bonus note, I only worked, my shift used to start at 7 p.m. So I would work from 7 until 9, and then it used to end the following day at 7 a.m. So it was a 12-hour shift. And then I would work again the following morning from around 4 a.m. until 7 a.m. And just to make sure that when the other staff comes, everything is clean, people are clean. And just to share a funny story, what happened to me while I was working at this home-based care, doing my practicals, right? So what I was doing is, we're dealing with the frail people that are frail, right? And most of them, it's old people. There was this elderly gentleman and he had amnesia. So I was the one who was responsible for him. So I had to make sure that he's clean, I bath him and he eats and all that and all sorts of things. There were even at times that he used to mistaken me for his son, and then the other time he was mistaken me for his worst enemy. It was the worst. So this one day, so you never know what you expect when you're walking into his room. So this one day, I walked into his room, and he seemed like, okay, I first peek and see what kind of mood is he in, and what kind of reaction he gives me when he sees me. So I walked in, and I could tell, okay, he's giving me a good reaction. And I thought, okay, it's one of those good days, yes. And then I walk in, and then I greet him nicely. He doesn't respond. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe it's one of those days he doesn't want to talk. I bring in the stuff that he needs to bath and so forth. And then as soon as I bring it forward, out of nowhere, the guy punches me. I did not expect it. And with even with my experience in martial arts, I did not even see that one coming. The guy punched me. You're the first one I'm telling that.
And the worst part, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I can't, because he's an old man. I had to, at the same time, I had to feel sorry for him. But how can I? I'm feeling the pain. I'm feeling the pain.
Hi, my guy.
But yeah, I decided, okay, you know what? It's so good. It's so good. I didn't even try to understand what's going on. I just went away, went to the bathroom just to make sure that I'm still good. Everything is still good. And then
you came back again.
Yeah, I came back again, and then
you watched him and
what I had to do. And that was my story with, and afterwards, this is still within my gap year. After I'm done with my practicals, I graduated and everything, and they told me that they would call me for a job. And I said, look, I can't wait for you guys to call me. I have to keep on moving. And that's when I started working as an aircon technician, right? I first started as an assistant. And as I was there as an assistant, it was I had some of the worst days there.
Why? You have to lift everything.
I'm not sure if I can mention the names of the companies that I work for.
You don't have to.
So I worked for this one company, and the way I got in, well, my father, he's an aircon technician, right?
Okay.
So I got in as his assistant. And then when I got in as his assistant, I used to assist him around and so forth and so on. And going to jobs, we used to sit at the back of the bakkie. That's that's something I did not get along with. And when you're sitting there at the bakkie, there is sitting at the bakkie, number one. And then there is number two, sitting at the bakkie full of equipments.
And tools.
That is the worst kind of experience that one person can be subjected to. Right.
The speed bump is coming.
The speed bumps. You get to a point where you become a professional at sitting at the back of a bakkie. You anticipate a speed bump before a speed bump even approaches. You even start to read the bakkie that, okay, this bakkie is probably about to reach a speed bump, because you can feel the speed, the way it's slowing down. It's like, okay, let me just hold on to something.
Oh gosh.
And then that's something I was not used to, something that I could not even get used to at all, right? And I got fed up, honestly. I got so fed up that I decided that, you know what, I'm going to apply at different institutions. And I wanted to be at a place, I didn't want to go out, I don't want to leave Cape Town. Okay. I'm so fond of Cape Town, right? And that's when I applied at CPUT for what I would then study. And then, months went by, I was still working at this air conditioning company. And what even got me more fed up was that, I was still young. I'm still young. I was younger then. And then there would come other people who join the company, right? People who I knew the job better than them. And the day I found out how much they were earning, I say, no ways. I've been at this company longer.
For way longer.
Way longer than this individual. This guy just steps in, and all of a sudden, he earns
more
than me. And I know the job more than the person. And even the actual owner of the company, he was talking about making me an actual technician and not just an assistant. And so I thought, okay, things are looking up. But why am I not earning what I'm supposed to be earning?
He was probably just thinking of promoting you to exploit you even more.
Me. And back in the time, the year was 2016, and I was earning about 4,000 Rand a month, right? So I decided, okay, you know what, it's not gonna work. And I spoke to my dad, I explained to him, and he understood my grievances. And what happened later on was that there was someone else that sort of poached him from this company. Okay. And as they poached him, he didn't really want to take me with this new person who poached him. But then that was part of my father's T's and C's. I'm the package that he goes, I have to take along.
Okay.
And then I went with him, and I remember when I got the call, I was sitting in the back of a bakkie going to a job. I got the call from the university saying that I was successful at the selection, and I have to go in and do various things that they have to do as part of their intakes. Yo, I jumped for joy at the back of that bakkie.
Dream come true.
I saw my day sitting at the back of this bakkie, finally
Coming to an over.
I was like, thank you, Lord. Really, that was an answered prayer. That was really an answered prayer. I was so happy. Even up until today, when I speak about it, that visualization of my joy, of everything, of my emotion, it just comes to light. It comes back. I was really grateful for that opportunity.
Of course.
So, and even the owner, the new owner of the new company, he had even gotten used to me. He had even he had even taken a liking at me.
Okay.
That when I finally broke the news
that you were leaving.
That you know what? From next year onwards, starting around Feb, March. I'm not sure what. But I think it was around there. Feb, March, I'll be leaving. I'm going to this new venture of mine and so forth. He was sad that I was leaving. At the same time, he was happy for me. Right. And then, long story short, I went through the university, put us through interviews. I passed my interviews. They put us through tests. I passed the test. They put us through. We had to. It was almost like a testing to see, because it's a hands-on job.
Okay.
Like, are you a hands-on person? Can you work with your hands? And I got through that process, and got enrolled into the university as an undergrad, first-year student. It was so surreal.
You're like,
the feeling.
Finally did it.
The feeling was surreal. I'm telling you, it was really. It was something. It was something wow. Yeah.
So can you tell us now, seems like your journey was very, 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 very moody, up and down, too many up and downs.
It was intense, I tell you.
Can you tell us about how did you, being a foreign national, influence your journey in any way?
Oh, I feel like I can jump out of this shit. Because, and it's something that most foreign students, it's something that they can relate to. Firstly, my registering to the institution, it was different to a South African student. Yeah, the registration process, they told me that I had to have I needed to have a medical aid. All my life, I've never had medical aid before. And suddenly,
you need to have medical aid.
And even, to tell you the truth, the medical aid, I mean, it's a good thing to have medical aid. But when I look back, the only one time I ever used that medical, no, actually 2 times. The only 2 times I ever used that medical aid. Number one was for my cleaning of my teeth. And the second time was when I overslept and I was supposed to write an exam.
Oh, God, so it came in handy.
And so I had to quickly, plan something. Yeah, those were the days. So I needed to have medical aid. And even within that medical aid, it was not a medical aid that I had to pay monthly. It had to be paid in full. Yeah, for that whole 12 months. So, and that's a lot of money. I mean, coming from the background that I was at, coming from a previously disadvantaged family background, that was a lot of money. That was money that if we were to sit down as a family and think about the things that we need, things that we could have done, it's a lot of things. Yeah. So that was the first thing. And there was the registration fees that needed to be sought out. There was also more money that needed to be arranged. And then we had to think about tuition fees. And I'm thinking, but guys, is there no way we can cut some of those costs? I don't think I actually need all those things, right?
You don't have a choice.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. I didn't really have much of a choice. And then there's the tuition fees. There's as well as my textbooks. I had to get textbooks. Luckily, there's marketplace. We live in a digital world where you can quickly just find something for cheaper and get it for cheaper. And I needed to also, that's just the one aspect of it. I needed to have tools because this is a
technical job.
Yeah, this is a technical job. I needed tools. And when I heard the kind of prices people were paying for their tools, I thought there's no way I can afford that. So I thought, okay, you know what? Let me just hold on with the tools. I'll figure it out once I get there. And then, fair enough, I left the tools. And then once I got in, luckily, I couldn't. We also had to have. We had something that we called like a store within the varsity. So we were based at Tygerberg. So within the store, that's where you get all the materials that you need. You get like powder, the plaster of Paris. You get your alginate material. You get your actual teeth that you use to set up your denture, and that's prices on their own. So they have prices on their own. So that's money. That's money on its own that also need to be paid for, right? Man, when I think about it today, I still don't know how I made it out of varsity.
Hey, there was so many expenses that you had to make.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And even making it out of varsity, it was a testimony that I owe due diligence to God. Because if it had not been for Him,
you wouldn't have done it.
And if I were to even tell you about the things, the journey that I went through in varsity, would be sitting here until Kingdom comes. So, yeah. So that was me registering for varsity. Yeah, it took quite a lot of money.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
And when you started studying, did you have a part-time job or were you being supported by your parents?
When I started studying, not only did I have a part-time job, I had part-time jobs.
Yo.
Yeah, and my course, the course that I was doing, it was legit an 8 to 5 type of course. So we had to be in at 8.
Explain what is 8 to 5.
So we had to start.
Come in at 8
Yeah,
o'clock.
we had to come in at 8 o'clock, right?
And leave at 5 o'clock.
And we leave at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
That was Monday to Friday. And coming into varsity, I always thought, this is time for freedom now.
Exactly.
This is time to enjoy my life. But that was not the case.
It's a full-time job.
The life of a dental student is not easy. And we were in a place where, we were in a place where we shared our faculty department with dental assistant students. So we were the dental technician students, we're dental assistant students. So with the dental assistants, their course just runs for 1 year. And even with them, they used to come in whenever they please and just go out whenever they please. And we used to envy them. We used to think, can't we be like these guys? And here we are. We're going to be at this institution for 4 years. So it was quite something. It really was quite something. So coming to a job, because I needed to finance my education. So what happened was that I started looking for jobs online. Started looking for part-time jobs, and then I got a job as a waiter. I went to my interview, and one mentality that I always have, and it's something that I've always carried with me. With any job that I go for an interview, I can already tell you without a shadow of a doubt that
you're gonna get
that this is my job. That really.
How can you tell us that?
It's just the level of faith that I would have at that given moment. So I got to that, at this interview, and then surely enough, went through the interview, And then the owner of the interview, the owner of the company, he told me that he would call you back and so forth. And then I got accepted, right? And the owner, he called me and he said,
Okay.
well, you know what, you've been successful and so forth and so forth. And got started working as a waiter. And that was that was my second job again, because I already had experience as a waiter during my gap year. And that was one of the things that he said stood out for me. And also he said he liked the way when we had the interview, he enjoyed me. Yeah. And got through to that. And then then again, that was not enough. The money still was not enough. Because at this point, I was staying alone, right? I had moved out of the house, and every month rent is due. I had a car that I was using as well, so car does not drive on water. I needed money for the car, and I found out that was later on in my varsity years. I found out that there's a chance, and I qualified to be a mentor. And I said, okay, you know what? Let me take my chances, see where it takes me. I took up that offer. I was successful as a mentor. And they say then I was not able to actually earn physical cash, because other people, they could get cash from the university, right? In my aspect, it was different, because they say I'm a foreign national student. So in order for them to pay me in cash, I needed to have a work permit.
Oh, okay.
But in that time, I was in possession of a study permit, right? And then I negotiated with them then and say to them, okay, instead of you guys then giving me the money or also letting me go, I would rather then, is it possible to divert that money towards my studies or towards something towards my studies? And they were happy with that. And then that was how we ended up sort of having some sort of money diverted
towards your studies.
Towards my studies, yes. And, but there was a time though, things got really tough. Things got so tough that I almost left varsity.
You almost dropped out.
I almost dropped out.
Oh, shame. Because of finances, or what was the reason?
It was mainly because of finances. And, you know, I have to give God all the glory for sending an angel in the form of one of my lecturers.
Okay.
And her name was Mrs. Rowing, right? And what happened was that I don't know how she saw through me, and I sort of opened up with her, and I told her, okay, this is where I stand with my studies, and I don't see myself continuing with this. And then she then said, you know what, she's gonna help me, and she's gonna help me. She will assist me with however she possibly can. And I remember that for that year, she actually ended up paying for my fees. And I was, yeah.
Oh my gosh, such an angel.
She was an angel sent from above. Because even though my marks were great, my marks were one of the best, they could, if I was a South African, they could qualify for a bursary or scholarship or something in that line. But unfortunately, I couldn't. So I thought to myself, I had no other option but to drop out. But God saw that, you know, it was important for him that I go through this phase, I go through the studies, and I complete them. Because I tell you the truth, had I dropped out, I would have still been back, maybe still working as a waiter, or I would have still been at the back of that Baki, earning that bare 4,000 rands, you know. So, and yeah, and God carried me through, got me through varsity to a point where I graduated, and yeah, that was my journey as a student.
Glory be to God. Guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Remember that we need to create the algorithm that this is an important podcast and this is important information that we are sharing. And that is only created by you liking, commenting, and sharing, of course, so that more people are enlightened by what we are teaching and the stories that we are sharing. Mr. Bunhu, I believe that God is really great and truly great. It shows in your life and, of course, in your story and the testimony. But tell us more about, the good things, the professional life. How has it been going? How do you even manage to secure a job being a foreign national?
I'm glad you mentioned God in there because God did it again.
Amen.
So when we are studying, we are required to do in-service training. So what in-service training means is that we have to look for dental laboratory, registered dental laboratories.
Okay.
And it's there where we gain a more physical experience. It's there where we are able to even engage and learn and put to practice what we learned throughout our path as students.
Okay.
And I remember I had done all my in-service training for first, second, third, and it was now the fourth year. I had not done my in-service training
For the fourth year.
Yes, because that year was tough. That year was really it was tough. I didn't have time to even think about in-service training, even during holidays. We never really had holidays. We used to spend our time all the time in the lab. So during holidays, there would be someone who would open up the lab for us, and we just practice, right? So it came to a point where I was in desperate need for a dental lab to practice on, right? And then now we had to look for our own dental labs. So the university, it doesn't assist you. You have to go yourself online, search for dental laboratories, and get yourself enrolled. I called the one lab that I was always doing my practicals at for the 3 years. And that was actually one of the things that made me complacent, because I thought, you know what, I have a lab that I've constantly been going to for 3 years.
Obviously
so I can just give them a ring and they know my work, they know me. So they can just quickly take me and so forth. To my surprise, they said, well, look, unfortunately, we've been having some trouble with the dental council. So the dental council is the board where everybody has to be registered. Every lab, every person that's practicing, you have to be registered with them. So they were having some troubles with them. So the dental council had revoked their license. So if I were to go through them, I would not have been recognized. And then I decided, okay, you know what? It's so good. I'll find something. It's so good. Started calling up a few more numbers. To a point, I was so desperate. I was calling other places outside of Cape Town, outside of the city, without a clue about if I were to get a place, how am I going to make it? Yeah, how or where am I going to live? Because in Cape Town, I thought I'm competing with my classmates over here. So let me
go to a different
somewhere
venue.
else. And then I remember it was one afternoon. I was sitting in the library. I was just finishing up my assignment. And then one name popped up. You know how the algorithm works. If you're searching for something on the internet, and things always tend to pop up. But this time around, although one might say it was the algorithm, I would say it was God, really. One lab popped up on my news feed, and I decided, okay, you know what? Let me just give this guy a ring. Let me give this lab a call. Find out what are they all about. And I called them, and then when I called them, and I told them, look, I'm in my final year, right? I'm looking for a place where I can do my in-service training at. And I gave them a brief explanation of who I am. I gave them explanation of what I'm good at, or what benefit what benefit I can be
to their company,
right? And I was surprised what I heard on the other side of the receiving end of the phone.
Phone call.
here I am pitching myself to get, to go there as an in-service training. And then this man, he says to me, you know what? He's actually looking for someone who can to work. And then the experience he was looking at, he said he's looking for someone who has like 3 years at least minimum experience, but he can do 2. And I was so downcast thinking, I'm not even interested in the job. Just give me a place to
finish my practicals.
Just to do my practicals. And then I said to him, look, I understand you're looking for someone to do, but that then means there is a vacancy which I can then fill, although I will not be as a working person. I'll just be as a student. And as students, we don't get paid when we're doing our practicals. And then he said, yeah, sure, why not? You can come and yeah. And then he said we'll be closed, because I remember it was close to the end of the year. He said we will be closed at such and such a date, and they'll be open on the 7th of Jan. I still remember, in the 7th of January. And then I said, okay, sure enough, I'll be there, right? And time went by, and all my friends, they were just, saying, no, they got places. And I was actually now one of the last ones to have to do this in-service training. And because I had not completed my in-service training, my other classmates, and that was even during COVID times. My other classmates, they went on and graduated.
And you stayed behind.
I stayed behind because of my incomplete training. And then, long story short, the 7th of Jan came. I went to this lab, went early in the morning, got there about 6 a.m., got there. And then I waited in my car until it was about 7 a.m. And then eventually I walked to the lab. And then when I got there, I found the manager, and he was really friendly. Everyone there was friendly, and introduced myself. They didn't know who I was. I don't know where or what, but somehow the owner forgot to mention me to the rest of the crew.
So now you were lost.
But they were welcoming. They were really accommodating. And he said to me, okay, you know what, you can just take your seat and we'll wait for the owner to come, and he will tell you what to do, where to fill in and so forth. And I took the seat, and then I got to started, the first few weeks, I was just learning, shadowing the people that already know the jobs. And got to just stand a few minutes with this person, see how they're doing, whatever they're doing. And then I go to the next person, see what they're doing and so forth. All right. And then there was a time also I decided, okay, you know what? I'm done seeing. Can you guys give me something to do?
So that I can start practicing.
Because I'm falling asleep here. And then they started giving me things bit by bit, slowly, bit by bit. And I remember now I'm thinking, okay, it's almost the end of my in-service training. And this lab owner, he rarely spoke to me. It was always good morning and goodbye later on in the evening. We rarely spoke. And so now it's almost time for me to leave. I'm thinking, okay, and this guy's gonna mention anything about the job or something like that. I think I put my best foot forward here. And as I was about to leave, the manager, he says, he just wants to speak to me aside. He just wants to, before I leave. And lo and behold, they offered me a job.
Okay, sir.
I was so full of emotion. I didn't want to show it. I mean, being an African boy, you're grown up towards.
You need to be tough.
You need to be tough. You cannot be showing your emotions, And got the job, and they told me, okay, you know what, you'll be starting first thing tomorrow. I'm thinking, tomorrow? I mean, can't you guys give me a breather at least? But the work was piling. So I had to start first thing the following day, right? And then, and tell you the truth, I was the first person in my whole class. You know, there's a verse in the Bible that says the first will be last and the last will be first. So I was the last one to get into a lab to do the in-service training, to do the placement and all that, to be placed and so forth. But God turned that whole situation around. And I was the first one in my class to get a job. Yeah.
As a professional.
As a professional. And I had not even graduated yet. And no one in the class had gotten to that point of graduating yet. They were about to. They were a few days from graduating, right? And they got the job, and already I was thinking, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be in this job for 5 years. I don't know. I'm not concerned about how much money they'll be giving me. I just want to gain experience and so forth. Sure, but it was tough.
Really?
I tell you, it was tough. I used to, let's say for instance, when it's setting up teeth for a patient, and we're setting denture. So when a patient doesn't have teeth at the top of their mouth on the maxilla and at the bottom of their mouth on the mandible, right? We call it full. So it's a full dentures. In other words, it's full and it's full at the bottom, right? And for me to set up that full denture in class, in varsity back then, usually it would take me about a week to do it, right? And it was crazy for me to find out that those guys, they do it in an hour.
Oh my God.
That was insane.
So this is 100% pressure on you.
Yeah, you can imagine. But the manager, he was kind enough to say, you know what, he's gonna help me and so forth. But then what I was doing, I mean, in dental technician, it has different disciplines, right? So what I was doing was, they said, I'm not gonna be doing that. I had to fulfill another role, although it was similar to that. So what I did was, it was also, in a way, dentures, right? But it was called flexible dentures. So these are one of the most flexible dentures that anyone can get, and they usually are advised for patients if they have lost one or two. Some dentists, they push it to 7 teeth and so forth, right? And it's very comfortable. It's a small denture that just clips in, and no one can hardly tell that you're actually wearing a denture.
Okay, so it sits on your gums.
It sits on your gums and it hooks in. It has wings. So it is like, there will be the teeth, right? And then it is wings in front of the tooth and wings in front of the artificial tooth. And those wings, they clip onto your natural teeth, and then it sits on your gum. And when you're wearing it, you don't feel like you are wearing a denture. So to anyone that's watching that may be missing a tooth or so on, and you can't afford implants, there's something you can look into, right? So now I had to do that, and that work came in like crazy. And this is one of the biggest labs in Western Cape.
Okay, so you were working for a big company.
I'm telling you, it was really a big company. And being at a big company, it meant that there's work coming in constantly at a consistent pace. Now, I'm not coping with the work. And then the manager, then he helped me as much as he could. But tell you the truth, he only helped me for 2 weeks.
And then the rest you had to freestyle.
And then after that, he told me, look, you know what? welcome to the big world. You're getting paid for this, so take up your cross, brother. And then here I had to take it up. I had to start doing,
And I'm sure it was tough.
It was tough. It really was tough. I started putting in the hours. I used to go in at 6 a.m., right? I would start my day around about 6:30. So it's from 6, I have my nice breakfast, and then I sit down at 6:30. I would work right through until 6 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m. Just depends if there's someone else in the lab, maybe that are senior technicians, because they had the keys. So it depends. If they're working late, I'll say, okay, cool. I'm gonna work.
Take the extra hours.
I'll sit with you. I'll keep you company. Meanwhile, I'm getting my work sorted out. And that went on for quite some time. But by doing that, at least my work was going out on time, right? At first, the first few days, I used to ask all the time, I used to ask the receptionist, can you please call this doctor, tell them their work is gonna be a late by a day. And that was something, it was not a good view on the business. So I had to cut down on that. So it came to a point where I got so good at my work that I used to work from 6 up until 6, to work from 6 until about 3 or 2, then I'm done with my work. Or sometimes I would get my work.
Perfect.
I'm telling you.
So eventually you became good at the job, so perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got to a point where I was comfortable with my job. That there would be work due for Friday, and today would be Wednesday. I'll be done with it.
Oh gosh.
But I'll keep it back, because I'm thinking I don't want to spoil these doctors, because once they realize that, hey, this work is coming out faster,
and they'll be piling up more work on you.
Not only that, they're going to start deducting, because we have working days. So we have, say, for instance, if a job comes in, I have about 5 working days for the job. So they would start requesting 3 days and so forth. Although I had, at instance, it was crazy. I would have jobs that I would do it within 1 day. And that would be for rare cases. Maybe the patient is flying out of the country or something like that, right? Or emergencies and so forth. So within my career, I got to a point where I got tired of what I was doing. I said, you know what? I'm tired of what I'm doing. I want to learn something else. And I wanted to learn what my manager was doing. And at that point, there was someone else who at a point in time used to be my classmate. He also came, he joined the company. Yeah, it was a year later, he joined the company. And my manager, when I always try to learn, he was very much focused on this guy. And then I thought, okay, you know what? I think I have to look for something else to learn here, because this is not gonna serve me. I don't see myself really succeeding if I can't get 100% of your attention. And the lab was full. The lab was big. So we have people that does CAD/CAM, and at this time I was doing dentures, right? So I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna learn CAD/CAM, right?
So did that obviously was a new venture for you. Did that mean that you had to learn also theory or just practical?
So back in varsity, right? And indeed it was a new venture. Back in varsity, they teach us everything.
Oh, okay.
But, it being varsity, it's just an introduction of everything, right? So I sort of had an understanding of what this is.
Yeah. Then you had to learn the practicals.
And I had to learn the practicals, the more enhanced.
Okay.
And I still had to keep my job, running, making sure that my orders are going out on time.
Complete.
Yeah. And then what I did then was that I approached the owner of the place, and I told them, look, I have an interest in learning this field. And didn't have a problem with it, and he was actually motivating me to do and to learn that.
Okay, so he was actually supporting you.
Yeah, he was very supportive, and that's something I'm forever grateful for.
It seems like your journey was full of ups and downs. It was a very long journey, for that matter, and tough one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But is there any advice that you can give to somebody who's in your shoes, in the shoes that you were in as a student or as a foreigner, as a foreign national? What advice can you give them that will help them in the journey also?
The advice that I can give is that giving up is never an option, you know.
Truly.
And even throughout that, my whole academic career, I think that's something that's always helped me by the words of my lecturer. She told me, you know what, giving up should never be an option. And even when I wanted to give up my course, when I thought, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna make a lot of money in this field. And then she said, don't give up, rather finish what you started. And once you're done with what you've started, then you can venture into something else. And that's something I took, and it has actually overlapped into the rest of my life.
Because it helps you to grow.
Yeah, it helps me to cope, and in anything that I do, I don't give up. And also another thing is that don't get too comfortable with what you are doing. Once you've learned a skill, once you feel that you're at a point where you have mastered it, get to a point where you get tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Start to think, what else is there for me to learn? What else can I venture out and see myself learning and becoming more valuable, right? And it's easy to say that, you know what, I want to earn this amount of money, I want to have this kind of things and so forth. It's very easy to say that. But what is more easier is actually to get that, but after you've equipped yourself
With
the knowledge and the skill, and once you're equipped with all those things that you need, it's very hard for someone to actually turn you away. You can easily walk into any building and you show them that, look, this is something that I can do. And even for other people maybe that might be looking for jobs, other students that might be thinking to themselves, you know what, I'm in my final year. I don't know how I'm gonna get a job next year. What am I gonna do? Well, in my instance, I can say I was not lucky, but it was all by the grace of God that He placed me at the right moment, at the right time, in the in-service, like with that whole training, in-service training we call it, right? At this lab that I had to do. And once I was within that lab, I could not relax. I had to put my best foot forward. I had to show this company owner that, you know what, you can depend on me. I'm efficient, I'm effective, and I can do this work as much as someone that has been on this field for 5 years, 10 years, or actual fact, I can do it better. And I will challenge myself that I'll do this better.
So, Mr. Bunu, can you please tell us more about, your transition as a professional? Now you're in the professional work sphere, and your work, you want to transition from one job to another or to grow. Tell us, how was that journey for you?
Guys, the struggle of a professional. It's real. Nah, no lies. So, like I was sharing earlier on, right, that I started learning CAD/CAM, and one might ask, what is CAD/CAM? So CAD/CAM is basically computer-aided design. So we are taking, and remember what I said earlier on, that what I'm doing is an all hands-on job, right? And my fear, I'm sure most of our fear, is that technology is going to take over our jobs, right? But I think technology is only there to enhance our jobs. It's only there to aid us. Even the term itself, CAD, says computer aided, like aided design. You're aiding the computer to design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to learn this thing. I'm going to just figure it out. And then I started learning, and I got to a point where I felt, okay, I was equipped. And the only way I knew I was equipped, it came to a point where one of the senior technicians, he had to go on leave. He had to go on leave for 3 weeks. And usually what the company used to do is they used to send out his work to a different lab. And me being me,
you're like, I can take over this.
Sometimes you kick yourself in the foot and you thank yourself afterwards.
For real.
Me being me, I said, okay, you know what? I'm putting up my hands. I'll do it. I will do it.
I'm that guy.
And they say, are you sure? And I said, yes, I'm sure. And they had clients from all over the world. So they had clients sending in their work. And so this is the kind of work that once it goes, it goes. The clients cannot afford to be sending work back. So it has to be precise. It has to be perfect. And I said, I'll take it. It's either this or I get fired. So I risk, I reward.
Okay. So.
And then I took up the offer, and now I did not think this through. I have another thing that I was responsible for. This job, my daily job, it still had to be done. Hey, it was not easy, because now what I'm doing, it's something that I don't do on a daily. And started doing the computer works, but it helped me. It helped me even gain an even more broad insight on how to do the computer-aided design work, right? And I got to a point where I was doing it, and I was neglecting my other job. But I say to my, and the other guys, they were not liking me for that. Because I'm leaving my work and
doing somebody else's job.
Yeah. They're thinking, guy, who are you leaving your work for? And I'll do the computer stuff, and then I'll run to the other things, and then I'll sort of do it halfway, and I was lacking. And I approached the owner of the lab. I told him, look, what I'm doing at the moment, it's not working for me. I'm struggling. I'm not managing at all. Is there anything that can be done? And then I say to him, what you can actually consider is that if the workload that I'm doing, the other stuff that I'm doing, the computer stuff, there's not really anyone that can do it. But my old job, there's a bunch of guys that can actually do it. So how about that work can be shared among the rest of the guys? But don't tell them that this is
as a suggestion from me.
Yeah. So we agreed, me and my former employer, that he's gonna bring out as if it's from him, right? And then he went on. Of course, there was no happiness in that place. There was no happiness in that place. But the work had to be done. And there is a saying in my culture that say that "Mwana asingachemi anofira mumbereko," right? Which means that a child that does not cry, they will die in their mother's womb. There we go. Yeah, if a child does not cry, they will die in their mother's womb, right? So I had to voice out my concerns, and I'm glad I did, because that gave me time to work on my craft. And I started doing that work more and more and more and more. And I took a liking. I really liked that what I was doing. And from that, I started doing something even more within the computer stuff. And I learned it from someone that used to work for the company. And when that person left, there was no one else who knew how to do that job.
So
I was the only one. And I started doing it, and the clients, they loved my work that I was doing. And then eventually, when that other guy came back from leave, he took over his computer side, and I had at least my little computer thing that I was doing on the side, right? And bear in mind, I never got any salary increase in all those things that I'm doing.
This guy is not serious.
But I saw the bigger picture.
Of course, yes.
I really did. And so eventually it came to a point where I went to my employer and I said to him, look, I feel like I'm well versed within this company. I feel like you can put me anywhere, I'll be able to manage. So how about we renegotiate my contract, right? Things are not the same from when I started. And there's a lot of things that changed. And it's important, really, it's important when you're approaching your employer, especially where money is concerned. Don't approach it, there's a way we really have to approach it. Don't approach it in a arrogant way. Approach your employer and even list reasonable things. I mean, don't go out now and list a reasonable amount of money. List reasonable things. Tell him, look, if you can break it down for him, even do so. This is my expenses. This is the expenditure that I'm doing. This is my grocery, and this is how much I'm left with at the end of the month. And I'm not really coping. I'm not going through. The month is just too long for me. You see? And if your employer is a reasonable person, surely enough, they will understand. You know, we need to change that form of thinking. Oh, our bosses, they are these demons.
I was gonna say demons.
Yeah. So yeah, you need to approach it not in an arrogant manner, right? And yeah, sure enough, he increased my salary to a certain extent. And then there came a point where I said, you know what, I think I can do even more than what I'm currently doing right now, right? And there was a company, even back then, there was a company, and there was a buzz going throughout the whole country about this company. And yeah, and then this company was based in the United States, right? It's based in the United States. And it has offices in Egypt. Back then it had offices in Mexico, and it also had, pockets of people working for them in different places of the world.
Okay.
And there are 3 people here in South Africa working for them. And they approached me, right? Firstly, I didn't tell my boss about any of this, because I thought, okay, you know what, let me give it a try. Because the money they were offering, it was very substantial. So I thought to myself, okay, I can live off that. But then they're different. It was also in the computer-aided design. It was in CAD/CAM, right? That they were doing it. So now you see what I was doing in my previous lab, something that I was not getting paid for. Now suddenly
an offer.
it was based on that, and they were gonna test my skills based on that. And back when I was doing all this different works, other people back in the previous previous lab, they thought I was crazy.
Of course,
they thought,
giving yourself
why?
too much work.
Yeah, and the saying even was, if you take up something, it's gonna become your problem. So don't learn anything in this lab. That was the saying in that lab. And I came and I changed that whole notion. In any case, I went for the tryouts, and they tested my ability to design. And it was actually a lot of people that they did. They had tryouts in Cape Town, tryouts in Joburg, they had tryouts in Durban, in different parts of the country. And I've actually never been part of a lot of interviews as much as I have been part of with this American company.
Yeah.
They had an interview for tryouts, testing you out. Cool. Then they had an interview in discussing your results. Okay. Then they had an interview in discussing your offer. Then they had an interview. It was just
interview after
a lot.
interview.
It was just at the end of the day, I was so tired of interviews. And so forth. Long story short, they liked the way I did my work, and I was in a position now to say, okay, you know what? You've seen my capabilities. You've seen what I can bring to the table, what benefit I can actually bring to your company, right? And this is my offer. And I think another thing that we are not taught from varsity or from school is even negotiating. Negotiating is a skill. And sometimes you can come to a point whereby you fail to negotiate, and then you realize later on in your career path
you're being exploited.
that you've been exploited. But had you knew how to negotiate better, you would have been sitting at a better place.
In a better position.
In a better position, yeah. So I feel like it's important that as a student already, that you actually harness that skill, that negotiation skill. Because once you're out there, There are sharks waiting. I mean, if you've already gotten your experience, there's not much that you are thinking, okay, you know what, there's not much that I can lean on. You actually have something to lean on. Especially after you've harnessed the skill, you've went on the skill, you've hammered it, you've perfected it to a point, of course. You can never perfect something.
Of course.
So got through to the negotiation table. I was happy with my offer. And I got the job, the dream job, if I can say.
Oh, wow.
It really is a dream job.
Okay.
And to a point where, I mean, I never pictured myself that I'll be sitting somewhere in waterfront, looking at a nice view with my nice computer in front of me, designing and so forth. All I thought was I'm always gonna be behind a desk and inside a lab, not earning much. And you know, the work that we do in a lab, hey, big ups to everybody that works in labs. The kind of stuff that we have to breathe in. There's a lot of things, a lot of chemicals going around. And from that to a whole different environment, to a whole clean environment, that was something that I was really grateful for. So it was really something worthwhile, something worth all the struggles. Yeah.
And all the effort that you put in, of course, don't forget that.
Yes, and all the effort by all means.
Wow, Mr. Bunu. Sounds like you've had an incredible journey, which was very productive. And of course, I have to commemorate you on that because it seems like you never gave up. You were working hard and all your effort in the end have paid off. So big ups to you, sir. Amen. Wow, guys, we've seen this journey. We've heard it for ourselves, guys. Aren't you inspired? Don't you want to be in Calvin's shoes one day? Don't you want to also sit here and be like, guys, I made it. I finally have the dream job. And for you to be able to do that, you need to go to university. You need to obviously put in the effort. You need to work hard. And you need to set a standard for yourself because only you know your limits. Nobody can teach you or push you as much as you can push yourself and teach yourself. And of course, here, we encourage people to be learned so that we grow as individuals. And of course, we thrive in everything that we do. This is EduKnowledge Exchange Podcast, and we are happy that you are part of our journey.